Ziren had never known fear. His species, the Creel, were bred for war. Their bodies were armored in scales, their reflexes sharpened by centuries of conflict. Creel soldiers marched into plasma fire without hesitation, convinced that victory was their destiny. Fear, to Ziren, was something lesser beings felt, something to exploit in enemies. That was before the humans arrived. The war on Aros Prime had dragged on for months. The Creel, allied with the Galactic Council, were locked in brutal combat with the Via Dominion. Ziren served as a tactical officer in the defensive trenches overlooking the shattered plains. Every day, plasma storms lit up the sky. Every night, the ground trembled beneath endless artillery fire. He thought he had seen it all. Then the humans deployed. At first glance, they were unimpressive, soft-skinned, fragile-looking, no natural armor or claws. Their weapons seemed primitive, projectile rifles instead of plasma lances, crude explosives instead of elegant disintegration grenades. Ziren thought they'd crumble within hours. He was wrong. The Via offensive began at dawn. Their war beasts thundered across the plains, shield generators glowing like miniature suns. Plasma fire poured down, melting the first trench line. Ziren's squad held firm, returning fire in perfect discipline, but the enemy kept advancing, unstoppable. "Hold the line!" Ziren roared through the comms. And then, the humans moved. Instead of hiding behind cover, they surged forward. Their commander, a woman named Captain Morgan, sprinted across no man's land like the firestorm was nothing. Her soldiers followed, rifles cracking like thunder. Ziren watched, stunned, as the Via shields faltered. The humans' weapons fired tiny metal slugs, yet those slugs ripped straight through energy shields, bypassing every defense. The Via screamed as their armor shattered. But it wasn't just the weapons. It was the way humans fought. They didn't advance like soldiers, they hunted like predators. When plasma bolts scorched the ground, they laughed. When artillery shells exploded, they roared back with battle cries. They used chaos like a weapon, weaving through smoke and fire as if they were born in it. Ziren had been taught that courage was the absence of fear. But the humans embraced it. They ran straight into death's jaws, and somehow, death hesitated. Hours later, Ziren found himself crouched in a ruined bunker beside two human marines. The Creel line had fractured, smoke and dust choking the air. "Out of ammo?" one marine asked, noticing Ziren's drained plasma rifle. "Spent," Ziren grunted. "We wait for resupply." The marine tossed him a small metallic object. "Then use this." It was a human sidearm, a simple projectile pistol. Ziren turned it over in his claws, baffled. "This? Against Via war beasts?" The marine smirked. "Pull the trigger. You'll see." Moments later, enemy shock troopers stormed through the smoke, towering giants, twice Ziren's size. Ziren raised the pistol, doubtful, and fired. The shot cracked like thunder. The slug punched clean through the trooper's eye socket. The beast dropped instantly. Ziren blinked, stunned. The humans didn't pause. They leapt from cover, knives flashing, rifles blazing. He saw Captain Morgan take down a Via brute in hand-to-hand combat, stabbing again and again even as plasma scorched her armor. She should have fallen back. Instead, she pressed forward with a snarl. For the first time in his life, Ziren's claws trembled. Not from fear of the Via, but from the humans beside him. By nightfall, the Via had retreated. The humans stood, blooded, bruised, but unbroken. Around the campfires, Creel soldiers whispered in disbelief. They'd seen the humans fight, seen their defiance in the face of overwhelming firepower. Ziren sat apart, staring at the pistol still in his claws. Captain Morgan approached, removing her cracked helmet. Her face was smeared with soot and blood, but her eyes burned with a fire he couldn't comprehend. "You fought well," she said simply. Ziren rumbled low. "You fight like creatures without fear." Morgan gave a tired, humorless smile. "We're terrified, Ziren. Every time. But fear sharpens us. It reminds us what's at stake. That's why we run toward it." Her words hit harder than any plasma blast. The Creel had never understood fear. They dismissed it as weakness. But humans, they weaponized it, turned it into strength. That night, Zirin understood the truth. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's fighting with it, and making your enemy feel it more than you do. Years later, veterans would speak of Aro's Prime as a turning point. The Creel learned respect. The Council learned caution. And the Vire learned terror. But Zirin, more than anyone, carried the memory. Because he had fought beside humans. And he had finally learned what fear truly was.